It's like using a muscle. The more we stimulate the body to heal itself, the stronger it becomes. Because all we're ever doing is tapping into that natural healing wisdom that we all have. It's not out there, it's within us all. And the more that we tap into that, the more we connect with that, the stronger it becomes, and stronger our connection becomes. And today's topic we're going to be doing is headaches. Big subject, big subject. Lots of different remedies, which will be covered here today, but we can only do the top 10. So we're going to do the top 10. And like I said, there's lots of homeopathic remedies for headaches, but we're going to go to some of the most common ones. And just like to thank you all for your lovely messages and emails, how much you're enjoying these live sessions. And I'm enjoying it too. I'm finding it really great to do. It's great going on live and be able to share this information. And please share it amongst your friends, your family, your loved ones, because the more that people know about homeopathy, the more they can use it in their lives. And to me, the whole world needs healing right now. The whole world needs homeopathy. To me, it's truly the medicine of the people. So the more you can share it, the more we not only raise our own health, but also the health of our communities. And people, they when they use homeopathy, they see what it can do. But sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And this is the point of these sessions, these live sessions, just to really bring it down to some of the basics. Please keep it simple. In fact, that is the thing for today. Keep it simple. I've even written it down. Keep it simple. Because homeopathy is simple. We can complicate it. So please keep it simple. So as I said, headaches is a big subject. We can't go through every single remedies for headaches. I'm just going to go through some of the top ones that you sort of need to know about. And a lot of them you can find in a remedy kit, or you can get them over the counter at health food stores or from a homeopathic pharmacy. So please, as I always say, put in the chat box where you're listening from, because I said we have people listening from all over the world. It's always nice to see that there is people out there listening to what I'm saying. So if you can put in the chat box where you're listening from, that will be fantastic, because like I said, it makes us feel more a part of this community that they are. And homeopathy is a global community. 350 million people around the world use homeopathy. And so it's really lovely to feel that you're part of that, because sometimes we can feel a bit strange that we use homeopathy. Sometimes we don't tell our friends or our family that we use it, but you're at home here, so welcome. Now, what are headaches? Now, there's 150 different types of headaches, all different, from migraines, cluster migraines. There's all different types, sick headaches. So often they're very common. Most people have had a headache in their lives, and often it's not a sign of something serious. So it can be caused by having a cold or flu. It can come from stress or emotions, drinking too much alcohol, okay, and other things that you may do. Bad posture, eyesight problems, not eating regular meals, not drinking enough fluids, so people can feel a bit dehydrated. Also around the period or around menopause, so hormonal changes. And also from allopathic medications. It can be a side effect from homeopathic medications. So there can be different reasons why people get headaches. And again, if you get a headaches, we're dealing with acute situations here today. But if you do suffer from chronic headaches, then you may need to seek a qualified homeopathic practitioner and to get to the root of what's going on. So let's go through the first remedies. These remedies are in order of importance. It's really alphabetical order. So the first remedy we're going to look at is Belladonna. Okay, so Belladonna, this is with congestive headaches, often can have a red face with a rush of blood to the head and a sudden onset. Often with Belladonna, it's a sudden onset, and it can also go with suddenly as well. But the keynote with Belladonna headaches, and this is what we're looking for, remember, we're looking for keynotes. We're looking for those notes, if you played it as a song, that you'd recognize it. And the keynote for Belladonna is the sudden onset, but also throbbing. They have throbbing headaches, and they have heat and also a hammering pain in the temples, very much a right-sided remedy. Okay, so we're looking at, often when you're trying to differentiate which remedy to take, is it right-sided, is it left-sided, is it going from the back forward? All these are really important when you're trying to differentiate between what remedy to give. So with Belladonna, it's very right-sided. And the pain, they have like a fullness in the head. It feels full. And the scalp can be very, very sensitive. Okay, very sensitive. Even like brushing their hair, it's like, oh my God, it's just too much. It's too sensitive. And the head is very sensitive to drafts, cold air, cutting or washing their hair. Now, I've seen this before. People get headaches after having their hair cut or having their hair washed and they go outside and it's cold. So remember your mother used to say, or my mother used to say, wrap up if you're going to go outside, wrap your head up, but with Belladonna, it can come on that and be very sensitive to the drafts, the cold air, or having the hair washed or the hair cut. So they may come out having the hair cut out of the hairdressers, and you go outside, and it's that's sometimes a bit of a shock to the system, especially if they're sensitive. Big remedy for headaches from sunstroke. Spending too long in the sun, number one remedy, and it's great for those headaches from the sun. There is other remedies, but we're just talking about Belladonna here today. Now, we always look at the modalities, what makes things better and worse. With Belladonna, it's worse for motion, worse for noise, worse for light, worse for jarring. So say you just knocked the chair, or as you went past, it goes right through them, okay? Goes right through them. And with the Belladonna headaches, you can start in the late afternoon and can continue into the night. But the one thing that makes it better is it's better for pressure, better for bending the head backwards, and also laying the hands on the head. Okay, so feel that. But it's better for pressure. You'll find they're holding the head because it feels better for pressure. So again, you're looking at what makes it better, what makes it worse, and what's the sensation like. Okay, so that's Belladonna. Next remedy, Bryonia. Now, Bryonia, it has a bursting, splitting frontal headaches. When the keynotes, it's worse for any movement. So it's like they sit perfectly still. They can't move. Can't move. And they have this pressure in the head as if it's too full. And they can have a pain over the left eye, which goes to the back of the head. So it's the left eye goes to the back of the head. And again, this remedy, his scalp is very sensitive to touch. It's like any form of touch. Keynote, very thirsty. Bryonia will gulp and gulp and gulp gallons and gallons of water. Very thirsty, often with dry lips, but they'll say they feel better if they drink cold water. But as I said before, worse for movement, even moving their eyes. So even moving their eyes slightly causes them pain. So very, very sensitive to motion. And they feel worse if they stoop. The pain is worse. Now, the modality, they feel better for firm pressure. So again, they hold it, or they may even press against something. You'll find them pressing their head against the door. It's like they just feel better for pressure, better for lying still, better for cold application. So they may put a towel, a tea towel on the head, which is wet. And they're very, very irritable, okay? Extremely irritable. They don't want to talk. And often they want to be left alone, and they'll lie still in a dark room, okay? You don't want to disturb a Bryonia. It's like, get out. I don't want to be around anybody. Just want to be kept absolutely still. Next remedy, cocculus. Now, this is a very interesting remedy. This is a remedy I've used a lot. It's often underused, I think, often by people. But this is cocculus. It's a headache, a sick headache after a long journey. So if they've been traveling, they've often traveling, or lack of sleep if they've been studying too much, or from night nursing, looking after people at night. Often sleep loss is a big part of cocculus. It could be after jet lag, after traveling different time zones. But also they can have a headache from motion sickness, like car sickness or sea sickness. And they have a strange sensation if their head feels hollow, okay? It feels very hollow, or it feels really heavy as well. So they can be very hollow, or it feels really heavy. And they can be very tired and exhausted from mental and physical strain, okay? They get a pain in the back of the head or the nape of the neck, back of the head or the nape of the neck. Worse for lying on it, better for bending the head backwards. It's like releases some tension, and has an opening and shutting sensation in the back of the head. So this is what we call the strange, rare, and peculiar symptom. Very important homeopathy, because this really can differentiate and get us right into the remedy. So it has an opening and shutting sensation on the back of the head. Worse for least light and noise. And the pain from the headache, they can feel nauseous and they can vomit. Okay, they can have nausea and vomiting. It can be worse for coffee. You can feel worse for a short sleep, a nap. Some remedies are better for a nap, but coccus feels worse for a short nap. Worse for cold air, worse for touch, better for sitting. Okay, feel better for sitting. So this is a really great remedy. Coccus, again, as I said, it's a remedy that's not really used that much, but it's an excellent remedy, especially, like I said, for loss of sleep, traveling, mental and physical strain. I remember, everybody, you'll get a copy of the PDF. I think Rebecca's going to put it in the link in the chat. You'll get a copy of this PDF with all the slides on it. The next remedy, Gelsemium, one of my favorite remedies, different reasons, was the first remedy I ever took. This is what got me into homeopathy. There's a whole story around this, but basically, I was going to take this remedy and it worked. I was going to go to this open day about homeopathic training to be a practitioner. It didn't work. I wasn't going to go. There's a whole story to that. I'll tell you another time. But it worked, and here I am. Okay, so Gelsemium, headache with a sensation as if a band round their head. So it feels like there's a band round the head. Remember, when you're asking people or yourself or whoever, what's the sensation like? If they say, well, it's like a headache, because you want to get more information than that, because you're trying to find out what's the sensation like to choose the remedy. Then I often say, well, if you had to inflict the pain onto me, what would you do to me? And they say, well, I'll put a band around your head, or I'll put your head in a vice, or I put a nail in the side of your head. That sounds a bit odd thing to ask people, but they'll give you really good descriptions, and that really helps when we look at the remedies and the sensations of the remedy. But with Gelsemium, it's like a band around the head, or pain at the back of the head, and it can be right-sided. Okay, the pain can be on the right side. It can also come on with the onset of influenza, so people getting flu, it can come on, and often they have a dull, heavy ache with heaviness of the eyelids, and the vision can be blurred. It can affect the vision. They can't see very well. So when you're looking at somebody who needs Gelsemium, they look really like heaviness, their eyes are heavy, they're apathetic, and that's a keynote for Gelsemium. They can have a pain in the temple that extends into the ear as well. This is a quite a particular symptom that Gelsemium can have it. Remember, you don't need every single one of these symptoms. These are keynotes. And I often say you need a three-legged stool. You need 3 keynotes in order to prescribe for the remedy. Nervous headache from emotional excitement, bad news, anticipation. This is a really big key to this remedy. So you may somebody says there has a headache, there's like a band around the head, and you can say, when did it all start? This is a really important thing. When did it all start? Because it started 2 days ago. Got some really bad news. I've just been made redundant at work, and I've had the headache ever since. Or I had to do a speech, and then the headache came. Or I was going to the dentist and I got really anxious. Remember, we did Gelsemium when we did anxiety. So this is a really big remedy, but it's a huge remedy from ailments from bad news, when people receive bad news. They can have mental dullness. As I said, they're sat there and their eyes are drooping. They can become like mentally dull, and they'll feel like that. And they'll be drowsy, and they'll be apathetic. Okay. Better for pressure on the head, feel better for pressure. And the better for they're in bed, that the head is raised high. If they lie down, they feel worse from that. But again, very keynote for Gelsemium, they're better for urination. So they'll go and urinate and say, oh my God, my head feels a lot better, feel clearer. But the thing about Gelsemium, they're not thirsty. They thirst less. And they want to be left alone and just want to be by themselves. So that's Gelsemium. Next remedy, Ignatia. Now these remedies are so big, they have such big uses. Ignatia, this is headaches from shock, grief, or disappointment. This is often when people have had a shock, especially emotional shock or emotional disappointment or emotional grief. And these are very emotional, sensitive people. Often they can sigh a lot. You'll be noticing they've got this headache and they're sighing. And how's that? Yeah, it's fine. And it's sighing. It's like this emotion that's there. Very much oversensitive to the pain. These people will really react to the pain. Okay, almost, because they're so oversensitive. Oh my God, this headache. And they have a pain as if a nail is driven out through the sides from the inside out of the sides of the head, of the temples. And often are quite specific. They'll say the pain is just in one spot. That's how they describe it. It's in one spot there. It feels like a nail coming in or going out. Big keynote as well. Worse for tobacco smoke. The worst for any type of smoking. It really affects them and can make the headache, can bring a headache on. Oh, straight away. Oh my goodness, and they'll tell you, very vocal. Or strong odors like coffee. Worse for open air, worse for stooping again, but better for being warm. So they like being warm and being quiet or still. Okay, but when the pain comes on, they can get a bit hysterical, Ignatia, with the pain. It's like they can feel like they're sort of dying, and they can be upset and they can be emotional and they can cry with it as well. So that's Ignatia. Next remedy, Nature Muir, which is connected to to Ignatia. Often Ignatia can be an acute Nature Muir. Again, this is Nature Muir. So with this remedy, it's headaches from grief and disappointed love. Okay, but they tend to keep it in. With Ignatia will let it out. Nature Muir tend to keep it in, and you have this bursting, blinding headache, as if 1,000 little hammers were knocking on the brain. Like 1,000 little hammers knocking on the brain. They have pain over their eyes and the top of their head, with visual disturbances and sensitivity to light. In fact, they get headaches from the heat of the sun or from the light of the sun. Okay, and they can be worse on waking with this headache from sunrise to sunset. And actually, they can be worse around 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I haven't put that on the slide, but often that can be an aggravation time from them. But the sun particularly can have an effect. In fact, with Nature Muir, the sunlight can bring on cold sores as well from the sun. Better for sleep, so they'll go and sleep if they have a headache. But again, better for pressure. Again, better lying with the head high and sitting still. So you see some common characteristics amongst all these remedies, but you're trying to find what the keynotes are for that particular remedy. And you try a remedy, and if it hasn't worked, then go to the next nearest one. But the idea is like a process of elimination. You're trying to, like we say, a game of snap. You're trying to match the keynotes. You don't need everything I'm telling you here. You're just trying to build a picture of at least 3 keynotes of what the remedy is. Next remedy, Nooks vomica. Look at this face. This is a Nooks vomica type face. Headaches from toxicity, drugs. Now that can be recreational drugs as well as allopathic drugs. So if people have too many drugs, it's basically congested the liver. But this is headaches from hangovers as well. Big remedy for hangovers. And they have great irritability. Again, look at the picture of this lady. Great irritability. They can get, again, headaches in the sunshine or when they're constipated. So if they can't go to the toilet and they feel a bit bunged up, then they can get a headache from it. But once they go, they feel better. But often they find it hard to go to the toilet sometimes to get rid of things. Pain in the back of the head or over the eyes, and they have a bit of dizziness, a bit of vertigo as well. Okay. And again, they have this frontal headache here where they press against something, and they could be sat down on the desk, pressing their head. They could be at work because Nooks vomica like to work, pressing their head against something. Or again, like you said, with a hand, or they need to press something hard. It's better for pressure. But they have this bruise sensation. They feel like the brain's being bruised. And they have this pain like the top of the head, like a pressing pain on the vertex on the top of the head, as if a nail's being driven in. So Ignatia has nail driven in on the side. Nooks vomica has nail driven in from the top. And actually, they are related botanically, Nooks vomica and Ignatia. So it's interesting they have this sensation of a nail, but in different places. Their head feels distended and sore after great debauchery. And like I said, very hypersensitive and very, very irritated by anything. It's like noise, light. I said here, worse for light, worse for noise. It's like you say something to them, it's like, oh, what? Just to stop. So very, very sensitive. And you'll know about it. They'll be very vocal and they'll tell you. Again, modality, worse from cold drafts, worse noise, worse lights, worse touch, worse rich food, worse alcohol. Okay, worse alcohol. So often typical Nooks vomica, may have 3 cups of coffees, double espressos just to get them going in the morning. but then they'll use alcohol in the evening to almost bring them down and to relax. And it's a vicious circle with Nooks vomica. And so often the livers are often quite congested. Okay, so another modality, better for discharges, better for rest, better for warmth, because they're very, very chilly. Okay, Nooks vomica is incredibly chilly. Big hangover remedy for headaches. And often people take it before they go out, during whilst they're out, and after when they come back, if they're in a state to remember to take the remedy, if they want to avoid hangovers from alcohol. Next remedy, Pulsatilla. So this is where with Pulsatilla, you get headaches from overeating, overloading the stomach from pastries, fats, and ice cream. Remember, the worst for fats. But also, it's a big remedy when the headache is coming from hormonal causes. So often the headaches will accompany the period and menstruation, usually just before, and once the flow starts, they tend to be better. But it is a hormonal-based remedy, and often it's headaches in puberty in young girls around the time of the period. You'll find because Pulsatilla is a remedy from ailments from puberty. So even if you're seeing somebody maybe 10 years after puberty, their periods might not have been or had headaches since the onset of puberty, and often you'll think of Pulsatilla. So they'll have a right-sided headache in the temple, again throbbing, congestive, but they feel like there's a lot of heat in the head, and they always say that the head feels really heavy, like it's really hard to hold it up. It just feels really, really heavy. Again, if you look at the flower, it's a wind flower. It's like it can't quite hold its head up. Oversensitive to pain, and they can be emotional, tearful, weepy with the headache. With a Pulsatilla, you just want to hold them. You just want to cuddle them and say it's going to be okay. Okay, and they want to be held, or they want to be looked after. They feel better in open air. So they'll say, you say, what makes you better and worse? I'm so much better if I go for a walk outside. So they're much better for open air, better for rubbing, okay? Better for rubbing the head, better for pressure. Pain worse if they cough. Oh, my head. Oh. And they get shooting pains in their temples. But also they get wandering pains as well. The head will go, 1 minute it's there, then it goes over here, then it's on top, and then it's at the back. It sort of goes all over. They're worse for stuffy rooms, okay, for lack of air. They need the air. They're worse for the air. Worse for rich food as well, much worse for rich food, and they're very thirstless. Okay, so they don't drink. They are thirstless as a remedy. So again, you'll see some remedies are thirsty, some remedies are thirstless. Again, you're looking to make that three-legged stool. The next remedy, Sangrenaria. Now, this probably won't be in your remedy kits, but this is a great remedy. There's so many remedies. There's so many remedies I wanted to cover, but I can't cover them all in this short period of time. But I had to include Sangrenaria because it's such a great remedy for headaches. And again, you may buy this from your health food stores, or you may buy it from the homeopathic pharmacies, but I don't think this will be in the remedy kits if you've got one. Now, with Sangrenaria, the pain begins at the back of the head, extends to the right side of the head, over the right eye. This is a keynote. This is a keynote for Sangrenaria. Okay, they have a headache on waking, and it increases and gets worse until about noon, and then it improves. Okay, so it gets to noon, and then it improves. And they sometimes describe like a pain, like a flash of lightning at the back of the head, like a flash at the back of the head, the sensation. And sometimes the pain can be feels like the eyes are being pressed out. Okay, feels like both eyes are being pressed down, not just the right eye, both eyes with the pain. And these headaches can come periodically, like once a week, once a month. Again, it could come around the time of the period, menstruation. And pain is worse for motion, worse for movement, but better for sleep and better for firm pressure. So again, they may I'm trying to watch my glasses. They'll put the hand over that eye to relieve the pressure, or the back of the head to relieve it. But a really good remedy. So a big liver remedy, Sangrenaria, but a really good remedy. So I wanted to include it. So number 10, Silica. So here, Silica, this is a great remedy for headaches. This is for people who've never recovered quite from an illness. So they've had an illness and they've had a headache ever since. Okay, they've had a headache ever since. Seeing this a lot at the moment with people, this headache that hangs around. The pain, again, begins at the back of the head, spreads over the head and settles over one of the eyes. It could be one or the other, predominantly the right eye, actually, but it can go over either eye. So it could go over the left eye or it could go over the right eye. But they can have nausea and vomiting with the headache. They feel really sick and then they vomit. Okay, then they vomit. They can get headaches from not eating or from fasting or not eating at proper times. Like they need that. Silica has a thing around nutrition and assimilation of food. So they're worse if they don't eat at the proper times. And with the headache, they can get this cold, clammy sweat on their forehead. It's a big sweating remedy anyway, Silica. They can have sweaty feet, really horrible, smelly feet. But you don't need that with a headache. They could have that, but they do have this sweat sometimes on their head. The pain is worse for moving, worse for the cold, worse if they're overstudying as well. They're using the brain a lot. Worse for noise, worse for talking. If they're trying to talk to you, they just can't. You're asking them questions about the headache, and they just can't talk. And they just can't talk anymore. They don't want to talk. It's too much for them. It's debilitating for them. And again, worse for straining at stools. They get a headache if they're constipated. Now, the good thing about Silica, it's an eliminator. It pushes things out. Like if you get a splinter, you take Silica, it'll push the splinter out. What Silica has around the stool is what's called a bashful stool. It goes in and then goes out and then pops back in again. So they can't quite get it out. So they get a headache from straining at stool when they go to the toilet. Very chilly, okay? Very chilly Silica. Better for wrapping up warmly. Again, better for pressure. And profuse urination improves their headache. So if they go to the toilet, they will say it improves the headache. So if they urinate, they feel better. Okay, so they feel a lot better if they go to the toilet, and it relieves their headache. Wow, that was a top 10. So what did we cover? We covered Belladonna, we covered Cocculus, we covered Gelsemium, we covered Bryonia, we covered Ignatia, we covered Muir, we covered Nooks, vomica, Pulsatilla, Sangrenaria, and Silica. Don't think I missed any out there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, it's just good to just recap on these remedies. Just recap. Keep it simple. I say this to my students, every year at the summer break. Okay, go put your notes down. Go and read A Beginner's Guide to Homeopathy again, because you've got to be reminded of the principles. Homeopathy is simple. I said this at the very beginning. So go back to the principles. It's a law of similars. We're trying to match the remedy that if you took it in a large amount, in a small amount, it would match it and help it. I really believe the highest form of homeopathy is what you do in the home. For your children, for your family, for the dog, for the plants, whatever you're treating at the home, because you learn so much from doing it. And you're also strengthening what we call the vital force. It's like using a muscle. The more we stimulate the body to heal itself, the stronger it becomes. Because all we're ever doing is tapping into that natural healing wisdom that we all have. It's not out there, it's within us all. And the more that we tap into that, the more we connect with that, the stronger it becomes, and stronger our connection becomes. It really, really does. And that's my mission anyway, is to help everyone. It's like tapping people on the shoulder and going, hey, have you ever tried this? Have you tried homeopathy?